What's going on, everyone? It's your man EK here. I wanted to give my quick thoughts around the Western Conference Finals Game 7 result with the San Antonio Spurs beating the OKC Thunder 111 to 103 to advance to the NBA Finals for the first time since 2014, and Victor Wembanyama's first postseason run. Is kind of crazy, where they will play the New York Knicks, which for a lot of my OG NBA fans understand this is a rematch from 1999 NBA Finals. Obviously, that was a lockout season where the Spurs ended up beating the Knicks in a 4-0 sweep. That was Tim Duncan's first championship. That was also David Robinson's first championship as well. So we're going to get into all that. But first, like I always say on all my videos, please go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube. Please go ahead and follow me on all socials. On X, at Coalition Hoops. On IG, at Coalition.Hoops. We're going to get into it. Let's go. So, first things first, I want to give a supreme shout out to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And the reason why is because we're not going to spend a lot of time on the Oklahoma City Thunder because they are the losers. But coming into this game, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was averaging 24 points on about 39%, total field goal shooting. He was shooting around 40% from two. Basically, from a percentage perspective, from a field goal perspective, from an efficiency perspective, he wasn't very good. He hadn't been very good for the entire series. However, tonight he was able to turn it around, man. And I think in a game where obviously the Oklahoma City Thunder needed every single bucket from him, he was able to deliver. He had 35 points on 12 of 21. I believe he shot 9 of 11 from the free throw line. He had, I believe, 8 or 9 assists, only 2 turnovers. He had, I think, 3 stocks, 2 steals, and 1 block. And he played very, very well. I think he was able to find a matchup that he liked, which was, Julian Champagnie. Whenever he had Julian Champagnie on him, he was able to attack, either get his own shot off or, touch the paint and, draw the defense in order to get open shots for his teammates. And unfortunately for him, he didn't necessarily have a lot of help. Obviously, J-Dub was out. A.J. Mitchell was out. And then if you look at the rest of the individuals who were on the who were with him, most of his help really came from the bench. I got to shout out Jalen Williams, the other Jalen Williams, coming off the bench, giving up big minutes on Wemby. Like when Hardenstein wasn't in the game, he was the one guarding Wemby most of the night, especially in the second half. And Wemby is a monster. He's an alien, as most people say. But for the most part, I think Jalen Williams did a good job on him. You know what I'm saying? I think he did as good as the job as you would expect him to do. He's a second unit center who really doesn't have the size to be a second unit center, and he was doing very, very well out there. So shout out to him. I think Alex Caruso came off the bench and played very, very well. Casey Wallace came off the bench and played extremely well. He had some big shots down the stretch of that game late in the fourth when it was still kind of a game. So I got to give a shout out to him, man. I think, those 3 guys came off the bench and gave the Thunder a chance to win the game. And then you got to look at the starting lineup. We already talked about SGA. I think Lou Dort, a guy who came into this league being known as a defender. You know what I mean? And when you look at what he was able to do, especially in this series and in this game, it wasn't really much, especially offensively. I think defensively he still served a purpose, but, he gave up a really stupid closeout. I believe it was on Julian Champagnie giving up a 3-point play. It's just stuff like that. And offensively, I mean, his perimeter shooting is just horrible. He can't create a shot for himself. And defensively, he isn't what he used to be. So he was pretty much a black hole the entire series. He was a black hole this game. He actually did nothing for the Thunder. Isaiah Hartenstein, he started. I think he played okay. He could have played better, in my opinion. When you play only 21 minutes, mainly because, like I said, you're getting played off of the floor. Because on offense, you can't really do anything against Wembanyama. And on defense, you don't necessarily have the ability to guard him either. That kind of limits you. You know what I'm saying? In a series like this, So he only played 21 minutes. And obviously, the guy that everybody's talking about, Mr. Abraham Lincoln himself, Chet Holmgren, 4 points, 4 rebounds, 1 or 2 from the field, 2 steals, 2 blocks. He's a -3. I think the -3 only comes from the fact that he was pretty solid defensively, but offensively he was absolutely horrible. And I mean, there were points in the game where the Spurs were guarding him with De'Aaron Fox. I mean, they were guarding him with the Devin Vassell. Like, he was getting favorable switches, and he wasn't even looking at the basket. I mean, you're talking about he gets the ball on the wing. He's he's looking for a give and go. He's looking to give the ball away. He's not even looking at the basket. So I don't know what was up with him this entire series, especially this game at home. J-Dub's not there. AJ Mitchell's not there. You're gonna need to be a great offensive, player. You're gonna need to showcase your offensive playmaking and scoring. And only attempting 2 shots for a guy who's a third-team All-NBA guy, an All-Star, to me, it's just inexcusable. Like, you can't really excuse that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't excuse a guy who's an NBA champion, who maybe some people thought was DPOY this year. Definitely first team all defense, third team All NBA. It's like, you can't do that on the biggest stage at home, and your main guy is playing the way he's playing. Shea was making a lot of tough shots. He had one play where he flopped. One. In the game 7 at home, for a guy who a lot of people associate with flopping. He only had one time where he flopped. Other than that, every shot he shot, he was shooting to make. He wasn't shooting to get fouled. He wasn't looking for a foul. He was shooting to make the shot. And the man had 35 tonight, 35 and 9, and he played absolutely incredible. So if Chet plays the way he normally plays, in a game that was ultimately decided by 8 points, you win the basketball game. Like, there's no other way you don't win the basketball game. Like, nobody on the Spurs, no individual person on the Spurs was truly magnificent. Right? It was pretty balanced for the most part. It was pretty balanced scoring all across. Like, Wemby didn't have a 40 and 20 game. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't Dylan Harper and Stephon Castle from round 1 against the Portland Trailblazers, where they both had 35 or something like that. Like, that's not what this is. Like, it was a pretty balanced game. And if Chet, does what he's supposed to do, takes the open shots, takes advantage of his size, rebounds the ball effectively well, just looks for his shot, I think the outcome is very different. You know what I mean? So, but at the end of the day, the Oklahoma City Thunder have a lot to think about. Obviously, it came out today that Giannis wants to be moved from Milwaukee. His preferred destination is Miami. Now, obviously, with the Oklahoma City Thunder losing the way they lost, once again, this isn't a situation where, Chet and SGA played awesome, and the reason why they lost was because because of the apparent injuries. Like, no, like, that's not what happened here. Obviously, J-Dub and AJ Mitchell being out sort of, in a way, contributed to them struggling. But once again, if Chet plays any semblance of good, they win this basketball game. And you can't really convince me otherwise. So at the end of the day, it's a lot of soul searching, a lot of things that got to happen to OKC, for them to get back, to that championship level. But I think a lot of it is going to center around Chet. And I wouldn't be surprised if we start hearing his name in trade talks for Giannis specifically, because he wants to be moved. His preferred destination is Miami. We'll see how that goes along. That's really a conversation for the offseason. But now to pivot, I want to talk about the San Antonio Spurs, the Western Conference Final champion San Antonio Spurs, a team who coming into this year, I thought would be a 5th or 6th seed. Because for people who don't remember, who have very short memories, they were at the bottom of the league last year. They were at the bottom of the league. Like, they weren't even playing eligible. That's how bad they were. So to go from that to this, with seemingly the same team, like, they didn't add a new free agent splash or anything like that. The team is pretty much the same. I mean, De'Aaron Fox is probably the newest member of the team, but that's it. Everybody else was there last year when they were not playing eligible. So For this team to go from that to where they are now is a testament to the coaching of Mitch Johnson and that incredible coaching staff. And honestly, it's a testament to Victor Wembanyama. And I think he was rightfully named Western Conference, Finals MVP. Because of what he was able to do scoring the basketball, I think he was able to showcase his three-level scoring ability, his ability to really finish with length and with strength at the rim over multiple defenders, his ability to, score in the mid-range, his ability to put the ball on the floor, his ability to stretch the floor from three-point range, all those things he has in his arsenal at 7'6" just makes him pretty tough to contend with. So I think he rightfully obviously deserved, Western Conference Finals, MVP. But the one thing, well, two things that I also want to talk about, other than Victor Wembanyama, are just the maturation of a Stephon Castle and a Dylan Harper, right? You got guys like Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell. These guys are veterans. Like Keldon Johnson's been with the Spurs for I think 5 or 6 years. Devin Vassell's been there for 5 years. Then when you start going down the line, obviously De'Aaron Fox is a veteran. Julian Champagne's bounced around a bit. Obviously Luke Cornett's super veteran. You know what I mean? But when you look at Stephon Castle, who's a second-year guard, right? And you look at Dylan Harper, who's a rookie. And not only the offense they were able to play, but the defense they were able to play on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I thought was another crucial determining factor in this series. If they don't play the type of defense they play on SGA in the first 6 games, I don't think they make it to 7. Right? So the fact that he was able to do the fact that they were able to do what they were able to do against Shai Gilgeous-Alexander just sort of encompasses how extremely talented this team is as a whole and the culture around this team, which is defense first. And I'm not necessarily a proponent of this. I don't believe this wholeheartedly, but I do think there's some stock in it. And I think there's part of it that's true. Where if you have your best player and your best player cares about defense, right? Like really, really cares about defense, that in a way will make the other guys under him or around him also say, I need to step up my defensive intensity. I need to step up my defensive acumen because our best player is a defensive monster. And if he is a defensive monster and he believes in it that much, in order for us to be successful, I'm probably going to have to, try to jump on that train and do the same thing. Right. And it's kind of like a trickle down effect. Right. It's like if we look at a 1-game sample size, you know what I mean? And you have a player who's taking on a tough assignment that may give the rest of the other players on this team extreme confidence. You can kind of stretch that out to an entire season. When we talk about play style and culture, I think Victor Wembanyama's just intensity on the defensive end, his attention to detail, his willingness to defend at a high level, I think that trickles down, man. And Stephon Castle and Dylan Harper, I think they were able to pick that up and put it down. And I think they did it in a big way. So congrats to them. Congrats to Victor Wembanyama. Congrats to the Spurs. They're going to be playing the Knicks. I'm going to do another video trying to sort of go in depth on the actual matchup between the Knicks and the Spurs. Real quick, regular season, the Spurs lost to the Knicks two out of 3 times. So the Knicks are 2-1 against the Spurs in the regular season. Obviously, the Knicks ended up sweeping the Cavs last week, so they've been chilling. But yeah, it's going to be a rematch from 1999. I don't know if it's going to be the same result. I wouldn't be surprised if we get another 7-game series. I also wouldn't be surprised if it's over in 5 or 6. I have to really do a deep dive into the film and see who really is going to have the advantage between the Knicks and the Spurs. My quick pick right now would be the Spurs, but I just saw them play a tough OKC team, and I really haven't seen the Knicks play in about a week, right? So I'm going to have to kind of refresh myself on the way they play and what they do and what they're good at and what they're bad at. So I'll come with another video when that happens, but until that happens, I want to say once again, congratulations to the Spurs. You guys deserve it. You guys were the better team, all that good stuff. OKC, I know where y'all should go from here, and I think everybody else does too. And if y'all do what y'all need to do, Chet will be enjoying many years in Milwaukee. All right, man. Once again, y'all take it easy. All right. Once again, follow me on X at Coalition Hoops, on IG at Coalition.hoops, and subscribe to the YouTube, man. It's free. Y'all take it easy.